Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader. Quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Here we got Bitcoin. I'm looking at the Coinbase chart. We're on the daily, and we've got some moving averages pulled up here. And essentially, real quick, let's just switch over to the weekly. We did get that weekly close like I was talking about, and we did confirm a higher high candle close on the weekly time frame above the previous swing before that low was put in. So now we could firmly argue that we did put in a higher high on the weekly and potentially reversing this trend. So what we want to see here next is whether this continues up or levels out here and comes back to retest some of these moving averages or fib levels as support. What we want to see is us just put in a new high. So we're looking for a candle close above that 68.81 on this next swing relative. So we could keep moving up here and come back down. We just want to make sure we don't come down lower is all it comes down to. Or if we just sell off now and come down, again, we want to make sure we don't come down lower. But what we're looking for at this point in time is these moving averages now to act as support. We came down and we found support on the 55. So now we want one of the shorter time frame moving averages to act as support. At some point in time, we're going to come down here and test the 10 or the 21, for instance. And what we're looking for it to happen is come down, find support on that, and then bounce. So it's essentially finding support at a higher or like shorter time frame or a higher level than it previously did. So here we were relying on the 55, and the 21 had already failed prior to that to act as support. So now we're hoping the 21 will act as support, and then we can continue moving to the upside. Now if we did fall down again though and came all the way down to the 55, it doesn't mean the trend is lost as long as we put in a higher low. And then as far as continuation is concerned, there's potential at this point in time that we could continue to push up and retest the highs here at 11.5, or we could pull back and, essentially retest our breakout, which is definitely not unlikely. I think that's probably like the strongest form of a breakout statistically. It's not even probably, it is. The strongest form of a breakout statistically is like when you break out, retest the breakout, and then move up. And that's why I've been so, honestly, like, so impressed by this move is it's constructive. We've basically moved up, come back down, retest key levels, moved up, consolidated below the moving average, broke through it, came back, retested the moving average, retested the breakout point, and then we moved from there, broke through, consolidated, retested the breakout area, and then moved up again. And now we come back down now, and when we hit that 10 here is what we sold off to. We came down to the moving average and found support there, for a bounce temporarily. But at this point in time, it's still a bearish, bearish engulfing candle. So, at this point in time, it's not unrealistic to think we could continue down here and test one of these previous breakout points a second time. And what we're looking to happen is we're looking to see these still act as strong, like support, strong bounces, which is what's been happening the whole time here. Every time we've come down to it, we've found support, never got a candle close below 21, and then bounced straight off of it. Came down, didn't get a close below, or open and close below the 10, and then bounced straight off of it. So that's what we're looking for, is these big bounces to happen every time it comes back down and tests it. So if we come down here and this does not bounce here, we would expect it to come down next to the 21, and then based off of what happens at the 21, see what happens when we get to these key moving averages. Does it keep getting bought up and then shot up on like shorter time frames, or does it continue to sell off and keep testing lower? At this point in time, we're below the 21 on the 4 hour, and we're dragging the 10 down. So the 10's always going to move a lot faster, obviously, because it's a shorter time frame, and these are exponential moving averages. So the closer to present, the higher it's weighted, as opposed to like the older time frames are not going to be weighted as heavily. So essentially, like, it's going to get dragged down faster based on where price is at. So if we get this cross back down here, that was our last cross right there, and that was our last cross back up. So what I would expect to happen if we got the cross, we'd potentially come down here and test the 50, 55, and then potentially the 90 key fib levels, breakout points. Again, I mean, it's all lining up the same, whether you're using like horizontal support and resistance or moving averages. It's all basically doing the same thing. And as you'll see, we did stay inside the same broadening wedge that we've been looking at. We came up to the top, all the way down, tested the bottom a few times, got the move all the way back to the top, and now we could potentially expect us to come all the way down here to the 200 moving averages and test about like that 8,900 range. So we're going to keep an eye on everything. I wouldn't get bearish on this thing just yet, but it's not unrealistic to think that we're going to test one of these key fib levels either for this last little wave of the structure or for the entire structure itself, if this is like one wave completing. So we'll keep an eye on that and look out for key levels and key support. We do have the charts available, a couple of them at least, if you want to pull these up on TradingView as well as the indicators. It is all free. So and we could pull the indicators up real quick. We did get the hard sell from that dump right there. We're getting ready to have the crossover on the 4-hour between the 10 and the 21, and we did cross below with the histogram on the TJD, TD MACD, but we do still have the blue slope, so it's possible we could get a bounce here and move back up. But as long as we're underneath the 21 moving average, we're going to keep dragging the 10 down, and then when we do get that cross is typically when we like facilitate like a dump or a pump. So you'll see those crosses are very important. Even on like the 4-hour time frame, because they normally are what leads to like the longer time frame crosses. So there we have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, a little update on Bitcoin, and I'm signing off.